Welcome to another instant reaction episode in the MovieBuffs Podcast. My name is Tyler Valencia, and I'm going to be talking about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. And I've actually been going back and forth if this will be spoiler free, and it's mostly because there's parts of the outline that I made that I actually want to talk about that I guess are potentially spoilers. So just to make sure that nobody gets mad listening to this, I am going to say that this is including spoilers. So be pre-warned here that I will talk about things that are in the movie, probably not too in depth because of course want you to go see it. That's the intent of these instant reaction episodes. Talk about a show, a movie, and hopefully get you to the theaters watching it or turning it on streaming, whatever that might be. So Indiana Jones, this recently came out and I saw it on opening weekend in my favorite Dolby Cinema. And I will say right off the bat that it's entertaining. And I say it with a little bit of hesitation because as I've told anybody that's asked me what I thought about it, that I don't have that emotional connection to, say, Harrison Ford, to the property, to Indiana Jones. I was actually late to the game on Indiana Jones, and it was one of our listeners, one of my best friends, Aaron. Well, he basically said, "You haven't seen him? Okay, let's watch him." And this was in our when we were in our 20s, and we spent a day watching all three of the properties, all three of the movies. And so I don't know why. I've never watched them before. I don't know if there's ever been a something that just stuck in my head that prevented me from, but I just never watched them. But did I enjoy them when I did? Yeah, it was great. And so I did see the Crystal Skull, and probably I liked it more than anybody. It was watchable. I didn't think it was awful. I thought it was a pretty on point Spielberg movie with lighting, story, music, John Williams, all that kind of stuff. So going into this one, I was actually very optimistic. If you don't know, it's a different director. It's James Mangold. He did Logan. He did the Wolverine, and he's going to be doing, Swamp Thing for DC. So he's had some pretty good movies, in my opinion. He's really good at the tone, the pacing, the action. I wouldn't say he's the best in any of those areas, but he's just good at all of them. He puts out a complete movie. The way it looks, the feel of it, the story, every piece of it is watchable. There's nothing that sticks out in your head. You're like, oh, man, the saturation on this is just too much, or why is everything washed out? You watch a James Mangold movie and you are glued to the screen for that time period. And that's part of I think I stopped doing it in some of the recommendations. The joke I had about how many times you're going to pick up your phone while you're watching a movie. With his movies, you're not as inclined to pick it up because you're engaged in the property, in the content. So I was very optimistic with it. I don't think there was too much trash talking with him being the director, because I think his background and what he's done, people are pretty excited on. Now, the one piece that I'm going to start with here, diving into the story, is there or was there time travel fatigue? Now, if you couldn't guess, Dial of Destiny has to do with time travel. And there's been a lot of movies about time travel that have come out in the last 5 years, 10 years, whatever you want to say, 5-10 years. A lot of movies have come out about time travel, time traveling, alternate universes, multiverse, all that kind of stuff. And so that tied into Indiana Jones. I think I might have had time travel fatigue, just seen it too many times. Okay, now let's apply time travel to Indiana Jones and let's see what happens in this movie. But the overall story, and I don't know if I agree with this. I've heard a couple people now say it has to do with regrets and missing opportunities and wanting more time to do things. I feel like the movie was very action scene, small dialogue, action scene, chase, small dialogue, chase, small dialogue. And you didn't really get the story of it. And so when I saw breakdowns for the Dial of Destiny, and they were talking about these very short dialogue scenes between two characters where you're getting to understand about these characters' motives, what they're about, their personalities. You didn't really walk away from it and be like, oh, okay, that makes sense now. And then this is my opinion on it. But so what I'm getting at is the character building. So the character building tied in with the story arc. And there's just too many action sequences, in my opinion. The one scene that will pop out to a lot of people is what happens to Shia LaBeouf. There's like one sentence, and here's where I said that I didn't know if I was going to do spoilers here, that Shia LaBeouf's character, who was potentially going to take over in the past before things went off the rail for him, he's supposedly dead. He went off to the war and he died, and Indy wished that he could have told him what it would have meant to his mom if he was still alive, and what it would have meant for their marriage, all these things. And so that was such a quick line in the movie that it didn't really stick with me. And that's just my opinion on that. But I do feel like it was nonstop chase. Let me run after you. Let's go through this. This is going to crash down. Couple shots that don't hit. And is that on par with Indiana Jones? I never thought that walking at any of the other ones. I felt like there was enough dialogue between the scenes. But this one, it was just too much for me.
Feeling inspired by hosts Ron and Tyler? This episode of the MovieBuffs Podcast is brought to you by the YouTube workout channel Time to Train Fitness. With all things YouTube, it's free. Jump into a bar class, crank out a cycling workout, or pump out a strength session. Everything you need to work out for free at home. Check out the description and subscribe today.
You heard the promo about Time to Train Fitness and you're thinking, how do I get some dumbbells? There's really only two products that I recommend when it comes to at-home fitness, and one of those are the Core Home Fitness Adjustable Dumbbells. If you're already following the YouTube workouts, these are the dumbbells that I use, me, Tyler, and you've probably seen me adjust them between the weights super fast. Along with adjusting quickly, they go from 5 pounds to 50 pounds and feel great in the hands. Head to the link in the description and grab yourself a pair. You have the free workouts on YouTube and will now have the dumbbells to help you reach your fitness goals. Let me go back now and talk about the cast and crew. So I already mentioned James Mangold, director. The stars for it, of course, Harrison Ford. I don't think anybody, I gotta take that back. I think that if they were to reboot the series, there'd be a lot of drama with it. We already saw what happened with Han Solo. And so Harrison Ford in it, back with Indiana Jones, much older Indiana Jones. And would I say that he looked young? No. They did use de-aging technology in this, which it was interesting. Being myself, I'm a Star Wars fan. I've watched how they used de-aging on Luke Skywalker, on Mark Hamill, and it's always impressive to me. It's amazing to see how far it's come. But he's definitely much older in this. Phoebe Waller-Bridge is in it. You might remember her voice more than anything if you are a fan of Disney, Star Wars. The content, she's L337, basically the robot that's with Lando in Solo, a Star Wars story. I didn't know her from any of her other stuff. I've never watched Killing Eve, Fleabag. Just kind of scrolling through right here. There's something else that I feel like people might know her from. Crashing is a Hulu series. I think that's the other one that I had in my mind right there. But I am not familiar with her, but her voice is just funny to me. I think she plays a very funny character in Solo. Antonio Banderas, it's funny that he's one of the top casts in it. He's barely in it. But they do have some callbacks in it. I personally like Mads Mikkelsen. He's the main baddie in this one. He plays Dr. Voller, who is a Nazi. And I just like him in I think he's a great evil character. He plays the evil bad guy very well. Going back to when he was in Casino Royale, the James Bond movie. I think that was my first introduction to him. But I always enjoy seeing him. I think he's a fantastic actor. Other than that, there's a plethora of people that, if I'm looking at the cast right here, that they just have little cameos in it. The ones that I just mentioned right there, those are the main ones in it. You do have Ethan Isidori, relatively new actor. He plays Teddy in it. Boyd Holbrook is in it. And then this monstrous guy, Oliver Richters, is in it as well. Going to now the next part I'm going to talk about with the end scene, and this is going to be a little bit of a joke here, but I was kind of hoping that the way that the movie ends is they all, just like a Disney movie, they all end up together and they're all having fun. And I honestly wanted Teddy to go off and ball out. By that I mean there's a scene in it where these kids make fun of Teddy for what he's wearing and his straw hat because he looks poor. And, you could tell. I feel like he's a good enough actor that you could tell that the character he was playing was a little offended. He was sad by it. And what I wanted to see, right when I saw it, I was like, okay, after they get this treasure, after they get these riches, Teddy's going to ball out. And I'm thinking like Fast 5, balling out, that end scene of Fast and the Furious where they're going to all the different characters and they're showing what they're doing with all the money. I wanted to see Teddy in a white suit, balling out in a car that he's not old enough to drive, just rolling up to those kids, not giving them the finger, but just saying, what's up? Because he's got the money. He's got the nice clothes. But it ended like a Disney movie where they all were happy together. So, some of the main things that I would say really stuck out to me in terms of the action, the hitting on the nostalgia effects, all those kinds of things. A lot of the chase scenes, the classic Indiana Jones, fast-paced, things that defy gravity, things that would most likely never happen. Like I said, a lot of bullets missing here and there. And so would I recommend it? Would I say, yeah, go watch it? Of course, if you are a fan of the property, just slightly, I think that it's something to watch. It's entertaining, in my opinion. It's not the best story. It's better than Crystal Skull. Where would I put it? In the third slot. So not that high up, but I do think it's worth a watch. I do think that you'll enjoy it. I do think that you could bring kids, if you have kids, to go see it. It's going to be loud. There's going to be a lot of action, but I think you will walk away thinking, okay, yeah, it wasn't bad. It was something to watch and it was good. So I'd like to hear what you think, mostly about if they should recast. That's been something that we've talked about in our full episodes before with recasting or just retiring Indiana Jones. I personally think that I have to agree with what Ron had said in our last episode, 2 episodes ago, when he said retire. Probably prior to that, I would have said just recast him. Maybe Bradley Cooper, Chris Pratt. I think that was what I responded to that. A character or an actor that people already like. That's something to get a lot of backlash potentially. But I think retiring it, because I don't think he plays the way that Harrison Ford plays Indiana Jones. In my opinion, it's not too far from how he plays Han Solo. And it's very much him. He is the character. And so I think that continuing on with that can be tough. I think I've heard other things about, okay, what about bringing back Short Run and having adventures with him? Maybe a spinoff like that could work with the same feel. I think people do like adventure series. Just look at the National Treasure content. When they were good, people really, really enjoyed them. I didn't like the series that was on Disney, but people like that type of content, the adventure, the mystery, the treasure, all that kind of stuff. So if they can find something to do it, I'd probably show up for it. But let me hear what you think. Recast, retire, Indiana Jones. That has been it for this instant reaction episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you go take the time to see it in the theater. And I will catch you in the next one.